Hey everybody, welcome to Customer Experience in the Cloud. I'm Valerie Swanson, and today we have a special show today about the effortless experience. Now guys, I moved into central London, so I'm actually quite close to hospitals. So if you hear sirens and mayhem out there, it's not the police, it's the ambulances and things that might be coming in. So I pardon any background noise, but you know, those are the things you have to sacrifice by moving into central London. But so today, we have an interesting title here. It's would you ever swim through peanut butter? Like, would you do the backstroke through peanut butter? And of course you couldn't, right? It'd be very hard to do so. So why are we making our customers do it? So today we have a special guest who will help us talk about the effortless experience and how it directly impacts churn. And this is a very, very interesting topic because it's a lot of the things we'll be sharing with you guys today are quite counterintuitive. And they kind of go against the grain of some of the thinking that's out there as it relates to the customer experience, and specifically the effortless customer experience. Now, this is a part 3 of a 3-part mini series within a 5-part series. So let's talk a little bit about where we were and where we're going again on the next slide here. And so we're talking about the must-haves. Now, again, I want to remind everybody that these 3 areas, the channelist experience, the connected experience, and the effortless experience, are must-haves for you as a contact center leader or executive who wants to make sure that you must have the best things as it relates to your current platform or the platform that you might be considering. And these are the questions you need to ask your IT department. Ask your customer services director, VP of customer services, do we have these things available, and can we do these things with our current platform, or that client, or the vendor that's coming up trying to flog their goods, and are they saying that they can do these things, right? So if you want to see what we talked about before, you can always go to our blog site on our website with Seek Engage. LifeSite Seek Engage, and you'll see the videos there that talk about those 2 previous things. So last week's takeaways though with the connected experience is we were talking about you being the best buddy forever, the best friend for life with your customer. And in doing so, the analogy was basically saying you need to take the same kind of responsibility with your relationship with your customer that puts them in a situation where they view you as their best friend. And of course, you want the best friend for life because you don't want them churning out. And that includes having a fast response time, personalized recommendations, proactive recommendations, and automatic execution of things that you can do so that the customer doesn't have to wait for a situation to pop up and then they end up calling you. Now, we're going to talk about that a little later. A problem comes up and then they have to call you, and that's where customer service kind of has as a reverse effect on the customer's loyalty to you. So let's set the scene as we always do, and must have the effortless customer experience here, making customers not have to swim through peanut butter. I know that's a really wacky analogy here, but I mean, just imagine that it would be impossible. I mean, next to impossible. I'm sure somebody with enough leg and arm strength could get to the other side of peanut butter swimming pool. But basically, it's the topic here is talking about how an effortless experience in a contact center is an effortless experience in a contact center is more important than wowing the customer. Yeah, it's more important than delighting the customer. And so, you guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but actually customers that initiated interaction, they're like, I got a call. They're 4 times less loyal towards the organization because they had to have a customer service interaction. Strange, but true. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. So let's unpack the peanut butter crisis here. So basically, creating a effortless customer contact experience is more important than wowing your customers, as I was saying. And the fact that the customer is having to call you means that there's a problem, right? That they're trying to resolve. So you have an opportunity to screw up it further by having a very hard, challenging, process-driven, rules-based process in order to try to make sure that the customer gets their issue resolved. So you're starting off on the wrong foot in the first place. So let's look at some, the factoids. What are the facts out there, Valor? Well, the facts are Gartner, the next slide here, basically says that building a business case for effortless customer experience, service experience, repurchase of product or service, with 94% likely with low effort, 4% likely to repurchase with a high effort. Let's do the math. Just multiply that times. If only 4% of your customers, like for example, if 20% of your customers they had a very hard or high effort experience, then only 4% of those guys will actually repurchase. So you can do the math on that. You can figure out like, okay, well, we've got to make sure that the customers think that it's effortless, and then increasing the spend. Low effort, 88%. High effort, 4%. Negative word of mouth. So increased spend. And the first one is customer lifetime value. Remember we talked about over the duration and the amount over time. And we want that to increase that. Negative word of mouth. Low effort, 1% will give you a positive response to their friends. 1%, 1 out of 100. High effort, 81% of those guys are going to go around blabbing about how hard it is to do business with you. And then overall disloyalty, low effort, 9%, and then high effort, 96% people of the folks surveyed said that, hey, I will not be with you if there's a high effort issue. So this is very serious. You could take those figures, overlay them on your revenues, and plug in the effort score that we'll talk about here in a minute and how that works. And basically figure out how much you're going to lose out on if you don't get this effort thing sorted. Also, before we bring our guest on, the effort thing, the effortless experience, the frictionless thing, is we're taking the channelless experience, meaning the customer can easily swap around channels if they need to, and go into a connection there with you that is a very connected experience because you have all kinds of data on them. And you preempt a lot of the repetitiveness of the customer having to explain themselves over and over again, so that again it's easier for them to get something what they need to get done. All right, so today we have a special guest, and you guys, I'm pretty high energy, so I've got a guest today that when I first met her, I was like, oh, well, somebody's got probably more energy than me, and is just as passionate about CX and contact centers as I am. And I call her the Tracy because she's like the CX superhero here. And so let's go ahead and bring Tracy on board and have her introduce herself. Welcome, Tracy.
Hello, Valer. Good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. So Tracy, can you tell the audience a little bit about your background and why you are just as crazy about this topic as I am?
Yeah, well, that's because I'm crazy about people. I love people. So I started my business just over 10 years ago, and it's called Business EQ because I am so passionate about emotional intelligence. And that was because I'd spent 20 years in contact centers. I'd had just about every role. I was that agent. I was the team leader. I was the manager. I've done all of those roles. So I know contact centers. I know the beast that is contact centers, and I really understand them. And I really understand them through their people. And I left contact centers and swore I would never go back into them again because I felt they were so stuck. And then I found myself being very, very quickly pulled back in because I wanted to fix the things that I knew were causing a lot of the problems in contact centers.
Yes.
And I knew that they were being driven by natural human motivators, and things just weren't moving forward. You can do pretty much anything you want with technology these days for customers, but actually a lot of the what we call treacle in the UK, but you're calling peanut butter, a lot of that is in the people-based stuff. And there's some stuff that I'm seeing that isn't changing over the years. So I set up Business EQ, and I work with my clients to help them with their culture, with their people engagement, and with their customer service, customer experience, because I think those three are intrinsically linked. So that's basically what I do for my customers now, and I talk about this stuff with such passion all the time because it's all about people.
No, absolutely, and it's really timely because LifeSize, our central theme now is a human-centric experience, meaning that we're really focused in on the agent experience as well as the customer experience and the agent experience to all the reasons that you said. And so it'd be really interesting as we talk here today about an effortless experience and how the fact of a customer service call is, we're starting off the wrong foot here. So we did some research here on the effortless experience, and which I shared with you. And so what are some of your thoughts on the effortless experience as it relates to this whole phenomenon of it's hard to sometimes try to get things done with a contact center?
So, as I was saying earlier, that I've studied motivation so deeply because I'm fascinated why people do what they do. So I don't just study stuff in business. I study things like infidelity. Why did people do crazy things? And it's all because over 90% of everything we do is driven by the subconscious. So we don't, and so that's the thing that I've really looked at over the years, and I've distilled basic human needs. I started off with customer needs and realized that actually customer needs are the same with employee needs, are the same with the needs that from your partner. And I've distilled them down to three things. One is that these are the questions that were around in everybody's heads subconsciously with every interaction with a person and every interaction with a business, because they're looking for the human in a business. And those three things are: do I like and trust you? Do I matter to you? And will you make my life better? And that's the thing where the friction comes in. And for decades, people have talked about you've got to delight the customer through your service. And there's been a book written called The Best Service is No Service.
Exactly.
Yet, so I'm still finding that businesses are not really grasping this. And part of making your life better is, I want something to happen really quickly. I want it to be almost like I didn't even notice that problem because it was solved so quickly.
No, exactly. And so the fact that, like, for example, the book says, no good service is no service, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that there needs to be a service call, that means that there's a problem, right?
You've lost.
So you're already negative 50, right?
Yeah.
And so now that you're already negative 50, you're going to climb out of a hole, and that hole better be easy to get out of, right? That customer.
Absolutely.
That customer, they just cannot be spending more time chasing you. Why I can't? Your IVR is so hard to get through. And why am I being transferred? And all those things, right? And then I would suppose because of like the human-centric view that you have on things, the agent is really making, they're kind of like having to make up for the company's failures in this respect and trying to overcompensate with being nice, which can actually, irritate the customer more, right?
Absolutely, it definitely does. The amount of businesses I talk to is when I ring them or even web chat, and the first thing they say is, hello, how are you today? If I wanted to tell somebody how I was, I wouldn't ring a contact center. And there's been this wrong belief because, as I was saying earlier, that we're driven by the subconscious, but businesses use logic to decide on what they do with a customer. Logic says that if our agents all say, how are you today? Then it's a good thing to do. It's a good experience. No, it's not. It's wasting time. So anything throughout the process from start to end, if it drives more, if it steals more time from the customer, then it's a really bad thing. So you make it succinct and you make it really, you're just not noticing it. It's just so easy. It's done before you know it.
Exactly. You end up, because the customer had an issue in the first place, you're patronizing them. You're less, you're being, and then what's scary about this is then there's a survey sent out. What did you think of the agent?
And what do you think of the agent? Absolutely drives me mad, because I'm like, actually, my issue wasn't with the agent. It was with this and this and this, and you're not asking me that question.
Exactly. And what do you think of the agent, and would you recommend us? And so we're going to talk about Net Promoter Score here in a minute. But so there's this issue here with basically the customer effort. A lot of organizations that they're trying to identify issues, prioritize customer service investments, and create a low effort environment, and manage that through self-service and through multi-channels, but self-service also can be an opportunity to screw things up, because it's you think that, okay, well, we'll offload some of these voice calls to self-service, and we'll make sure the customer sees this on their app first, that they have to do a chat first. Now all of a sudden the first bit of peanut butter that they have to get through, like, oh, okay, now I have to go through the chat. Why can't I just hit a button and talk to an agent?
Yeah, and deal with an agent who's actually dealing with 2 other clients at the same time. So what you think is going to be really quick turns out to take 3-5 times as long.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, if we go up 10,000 feet here, what we're talking about here is, not that you shouldn't provide good customer experience or customer service, but the effort purely from the customer standpoint. What am I trying to, what hoops do I have to jump through and peanut butter that I'm having to swim through to get to the issue that I'm trying to resolve? And there's some solutions to that. And we talked about that in the previous show, which we're talking about a channelless experience where it's just fluid. They can go wherever they want, or even better, they actually can get it handled in one channel, right? And then the other one is that once they finally get a hold of you, the connected experience is that, okay, I know that you just bought this boiler last week. You probably have these questions, and let me send you, a PDF on how to do. I mean, you're just being proactive on these things. In fact, you might even send that out before the customer even calls you.
Yeah.
Make so that there's no effort.
Say, I know you. I'm a business, and I know what you want, even before you know what you want. And amazing.
No, exactly. So there are 4 pillars here, Tracy, that you were wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. I think the 4 main pillars to create. Now, how do we do it? Like how do we do it? 4 main pillars here. I think the first one was channel stickiness. You want to talk about those 4 pillars? Just mention them quickly for us.
Yeah. So just on the channel stickiness one, something that you've mentioned earlier is and something that I really, really believe in. Everything's in the moment. So right now, I need web chat. Oh my God, look at the time. I need to get in the car. So actually, web chats now, I no longer want to do web chat. Actually, I want to be talking on the phone. So it's very, very much in the moment. And it's something that it's got to be so fluid, and that people shouldn't even realize that, it doesn't matter. You just want to get that problem fixed and you're gone.
Exactly. And so I think some people might view channel stickiness as, okay, like we've got to contain them in the channel. They must not be able to escape the channel.
Everything's in the moment.
They must not be able to escape IVR. But the reality is channel stickiness. We're saying channel stickiness means that whatever in the moment they choose to use, that channel sorts it out. Right? And then we've got here keeping it simple, right?
Oh. So when I talk about do I like and trust you, which is one of the key needs that I talk about, it's all about being human. And for some reason, businesses still want to talk in a very formal way. We apologize for any inconvenience calls, which is a very British thing. And you've got to really, really be straightforward. And another thing that we do over here, I don't know if you guys do it, but they'll say, please note that. And then they go on to say something. Well, just say it. Just say, be really, really straightforward. Again, it's not wasting people's time.
Yes, exactly. And then this other one here about avoiding future issues. Now, I know this one can be a little bit of a hot button for you because it relates to the first call resolution. You want to talk about a little bit quickly about your views on first call resolution?
Yeah. So the first call resolution, some businesses, and I've noticed, get a bit confused about first call resolution. And I completely understand that if somebody's got a problem, then you should solve that problem straight away. Yes. And actually to customers, and a really interesting thing that I've had a number of discussions with on LinkedIn is that people assume that customers will say, oh my God, I've got this query. And they think, I want the answer now. Whereas actually, if there's no effort involved, I'm happy to wait. It's almost like, when people have got a personal assistant and they'll go, oh, I've got an issue with my energy bill. Can you just find out why it's so high this month? And their PA might say, oh, I'm just going away. I'm just going to spend the weekend. Is it all right if I let you know on Monday? Yeah, fine, because I know it's happening. I know the answer's coming to me. And that's a big mistake as well. And that's why people say, you're my customer. You sit and wait for your answer. You sit in a queue. And so that's a really interesting thing. So when you talk about resolution, my resolution is also, actually, I know it's coming to me. So if you find really easy ways of saying, right, okay, I've resolved that, and that with your query, But there's this outstanding thing. Do you know what? It's okay if the answer comes to you and you know and you trust that business because they've given you the reassurance that you'll get that answer in 48 hours.
Yes.
And you don't get some
and you're okay with that. And, and that was easy to get accomplished because and I think that the misnomer here is with first call resolution is if the company tries to use it as a core metric of customer experience, it
drives some bad behaviors.
It takes away everything you just said. What you said was
and
important.
also some customer service leaders have got a bit confused about what first call resolution is. And what they've ended up doing is they've started, my mobile provider is shocking for this. Web chats, phone, everywhere. So they'll say, I'll ring up with a query and they may or may not resolve it. And I know that at the end of the call, the poor agent is forced to say that dreaded line, is there anything else I can help you with today?
Right.
And I want to shout at the people that make that decision and say to them, look at your stats. What percentage of your customers actually have more than one query when they call you?
Yes.
And you can bet your bottom. I wish somebody would say that to me as I'm walking out the supermarket and I've forgotten the butter. But they don't. But they don't. They insist that. And those poor agents. And sometimes I'll try and preempt it, and I'll finish what I'm saying. They go, "Oh, that's lovely," and I'll go, "That's everything, thank you." And then there's this uncomfortable silence, and that poor agent goes, "Is there anything else I can?" Because I know that they will fail their monitoring if they don't say that awful line, and that's not first call resolution.
Exactly. Is there anything else we've screwed up that you want us to fix?
Yeah.
Now, so the last one here in the pillar is the experience engineering, and for the sake of time here, what the issue here is with basically using your staff, using your agents, the people that know what's going on, they're emotionally vested in making sure this is better, using them to help engineer the customer experience. And there was one example in the research that we had, which was basically taking all the processes and all the customer service calls that you're getting, and saying, okay, how many times do we say no to the customer? No, and then changing that over to like, okay, how can we say yes so that the effort is lower? So here in the home stretch here, I think what's really important here is, again, using the peanut butter and jelly or jam, as we say here in the UK, the peanut butter and jam analogy. The issue here is you can't have a very thick, hard, like effort-laden process and then try to put something sweet on it at the end to make it a nice, nice tasty sandwich experience. So that's what we're saying here with this analogy. And unfortunately, the Net Promoter Score goes up the line, and the whole effort bit gets lost. Yes, this many people will recommend you, but what's a more powerful measure is the customer effort, because these guys will go to somebody that, yes, you might have been nicer, but they'll go to somebody that's easier. Hey, I just want to give you my money. Why is it so hard for me to give you my money to buy something? Why is it so hard for you to fix something?
I've got a real beef with Net Promoter Score. One is that I've been in so many meetings with so many different businesses where they go, oh, our NPS was 84.5 last week, and it's 84.3. We need to keep our eye on that.
Yeah.
And that means nothing. Also, and it depends what industry you're working. I've worked in so many different industries, hospitality, finance, and I've also worked in care industry and debt management. And actually, it doesn't matter how bad your customer experience is, they've relied on you so heavily, they'll give you a high score. Yeah, so I've got a big beef with Net Promoter Score.
Exactly. That kind of like, the agent was nice, let me not ruin it for them.
Yeah,
But okay, so Tracy, you're a wonderful guest here today. So if you could tell us what the 3 takeaways are, so the guys can really understand what are the most salient parts of our discussion today. So what are the 3 takeaways today, Tracy?
Okay, right. The first one is that delighting customers in the service channel does not pay, contrary to what so many businesses believe.
Yes.
Second one is customer service drives disloyalty, not loyalty.
Totally counterintuitive, right?
God, totally. And that's why I love this subject. And the final one is that the key to mitigating disloyalty is reducing customer effort.
Right, guys. And that last one is the absolute secret to success. I mean, that's you want to be rich,
100%.
you want to save the world. Customer experience. That last one is the
Don't
key.
waste my time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're out of time now, and I really want to thank Tracy for being here with us. Been a wonderful guest, and really, I like the passion here because it's good to see somebody else with just as much energy and love for this topic.
Absolutely.
So, guys, next week we're going to be talking about building a business case. We're going to get all technical with spreadsheets and numbers on why it's important to understand the financial aspects and the value realization of the tools that you might be looking at to purchase to provide a channelless experience, a connected experience, and an effortless experience. So until next week, guys, thanks again for being on the show today. I mean, for joining us in the show today with our guest Tracy, and we'll see you guys next week with customer experience in the cloud. Take care.